Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a review of the Canon 70-200 2.8 version 3. Now I'm going to do an unboxing and sniff test in just a minute, but I remember when I was on the phone with Canon and they were telling us about this lens and I was like, what's different? And they're like, nothing, the color and some coating. And I sat there and was like, why the hell would you replace version 2 with a version 3 that just changes the color and some coatings? Well, as soon as I used it, I realized why. But let's unbox it, sniff it, tell you who it's for, tell you what it costs, tell you some thoughts, and here we go. So it comes in a box, just like all the other lenses. Get rid of that, take this out, throw the, oh wait, no, don't want to throw the lens, we'll throw that box. Hopefully they don't mind some dented corners. It always comes with this pouch, and I'm not sure why it comes with this pouch because nobody uses it. The only person I could ever see thinking about possibly using this would be Ken Rockwell because it has a belt loop. I mean, he'd be up there with those khakis on, putting this on his pants going, yeah, Jared, I'm using the 70-200, it's lovely. Anyway, let's take it out. You've got bubble wrap, boom, and there's your lens, and there should be a lens hood inside. So here's your lens hood, here's your lens, and look at that color. Now the reason I talk about the color is because this is a 70-200 2.8 version 1 that is Stevens. You can totally see the difference in color. One is a little more yellow, and one is a little more white. Now, this lens clocks in at $2,099, which is pretty good considering that the Sony is $2,600 and it's whiter. I actually think it is white. Oh yeah, the Sony's definitely a whiter lens. And then the Nikon, which is $2,796. And don't forget the 95 cents. So these are super expensive compared to what Canon was able to do. And unlike Nikon and Tamron and Sigma, Canon was smart enough to leave the zoom ring on the inside and the focus ring on the outside, because as you know, I hate the fact that Nikon went ahead and switched up the rings, which makes it less stable when you're holding it. Now, I took this lens out to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair and used it all day shooting, and Steven got to take it out to probably 3 concerts where he borrowed the lens one day when I wasn't here, and then took it to shoot the concerts. He had permission, don't worry, that's the perks of working here. He took this out and got some great shots. You can see how sharp and colorful. Even in low light situations, pushing in the camera to 8,000 ISO, the lens still renders everything beautifully. It holds up really well. And at the Renaissance Fair, photographing the joust going on and getting the subjects which are wearing bright colors running directly towards me, being able to track them even with the new Canon EOS R and the lens adapter, it was seamless for autofocus. I consider this to be the dream lens. When I didn't have a system, when I wasn't shooting Nikon yet and I was barely shooting Canon film, I always wanted that white lens, that 70-200. This is the holy grail of lenses for sports photographers. If you're a sports photographer, this lens is going to kick ass. It also is going to double very well for portraits, and I was able to get some nice portraits of the knights after they were done doing the joust. It just looks so sharp and colorful, and I have to say, I sat there and I was like, why would you get rid of the old version 2 if you already have it to get a 3? And I think the answer is you wouldn't. But out of the 3 lenses here, the Canon by far is better than the Nikon and it's better than the Sony. Now, that's my personal opinion after using them all. I personally own the Nikon version, but I love how good the Canon version is, especially at the price where it's at. Now let's talk about the colors I'm able to pull off of this lens. At the Renaissance Fair, shooting the knights with all of the bright colors on and not even punching them up too far in the computer, they look tremendous. I'm just so amazed at how great this lens focuses, how fast it is, how colorful the images are. I really can't say enough about this lens on how much I love it, but let's sniff it to see if I still love it. Oh, yeah. Stroman's white bread. I haven't had white bread in a long time, but that's what it smells like. So another thing is you've got a foot on this lens. I always take this tripod monopod collar off. I do this, I take it off, I put it back in the bag, which is currently on the floor, and I never use it. When I go back to sell it, that's when I go ahead and put that back on. Now, the big question here that a lot of people need to think about, especially if you're a Canon shooter, is the EF line going to be dead in the next couple of years? I don't think it will be dead, but you do have to think about they will be coming out with a 70-200 RF lens for the mirrorless cameras. Even though you can adapt this lens to the mirrorless cameras, you do have to question, should you be waiting for the future lens to come out? Now, if that lens does come out, the 70-200 2.8 RF version, I do suspect that that will be around $3,000 when it comes out. There's been no talk or announcements about it, but that's my own personal guess on what's going to happen when they come out with that lens. I think if you have a version 2 of the 70-200 Canon, you don't buy this new one. You really don't, unless you can get a ton of money out of the old one and you really want to replace it. And if you're like Steven and you have the version 1, then I do absolutely recommend going up to this version right here. Now, if you're somebody deciding, do you go with Nikon, Canon, or Sony as a new brand if you're just starting out, the funny thing is, with this being $2,000 or $2,100 and being one of the best lenses you could ever put in your bag to be a well-rounded photographer, you're gonna save $700 over going with the Nikon. You're gonna save $500 versus going with the Sony. It may be a reason to kick you in the ass and say, go with the Canon. The question I wanna answer is, who is this lens for? Now, it is expensive at $2,000 if you're just starting out, so keep in mind, this is a professional lens. If you're a professional photographer, the $2,000, well, it shouldn't matter as much because you're gonna be making money off of your photography. If you don't have the $2,000 to spend, well, maybe look for a version 2 of this used, or even a version 1, or you could look to the Tamron 70-200 2.8 G2, which is a fantastic lens at only $1,300, and you're getting a 2.8. So the 70-200 range is great for sports, like I said earlier. It's amazing for portraits. It's great for concerts. It's just an all-around amazing lens that I would build my entire kit around, and that's exactly what I did when I started shooting with Nikon back in the day. The first lens I bought was an 80-200 2.8 because I wanted to shoot sports. You cannot go wrong with this lens. Now, will it pass the wind tunnel test? I don't know, but I'm gonna blow all 3 of them right now from the side. Here we go. Yeah, I got some spit on that one. But anyway, yeah, I don't think it passed the wind tunnel test because it's a little more girthy, it seems, than, yeah, I don't know. The wind tunnel test doesn't make, don't tell anybody it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. If you ever say the wind tunnel test doesn't make sense, I will delete your comment. But really, guys, if you want to download sample RAW files that I captured with this lens, you can do that over on the website. The link is down below. And if you're ever looking to purchase any camera gear, you can support Adorama by going to adorama.com/fro. When you support them, you are supporting our ability to continue to make the free content that we make. So we thank you in advance for checking them out. So that's where I'm going to leave it. Let me know what you think about this lens down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And that's it. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.